The night felt different. You couldn't explain it, but ever since sunset, your heart had been beating a little faster. The air outside your window was still, yet it carried a strange sense of anticipation, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. At exactly 11:11 p.m., your phone lit up. A message. It came from an unknown number. I've waited for this moment for longer than you can imagine. The ring is ready. I have decided, I'm going to marry you. Your hands trembled. You read the message again and again, convinced it had to be a mistake. Who would send something like this? And why now? Before you could reply, another message appeared. But there's something you need to know. Someone is doing everything they can to stop our wedding. A chill ran down your spine. For months, perhaps even years, you had felt as though someone unseen was influencing your life. Opportunities disappeared at the last moment. Relationships ended without explanation. Plans fell apart just when they seemed perfect. Could it all be connected? The phone buzzed once more. Meet me tomorrow at the old clock tower at sunset. Bring the silver necklace your grandmother left you. You'll understand everything. Your grandmother's necklace. No one knew about it. Not even your closest friends. The antique silver pendant had been passed down through generations, accompanied by a mysterious warning. When the time comes, it will lead you to the person your soul has been waiting for. As a child, you laughed at those words. As an adult, you forgot them entirely. Until now. Sleep never came that night. You spent hours staring at the ceiling, replaying every strange event of the past year. The stranger knew about the necklace. They knew about your life. And somehow, they seemed certain that you were destined to marry them. The next evening arrived faster than expected. The old clock tower stood at the edge of town, abandoned for nearly 50 years. Legend claimed it was built by two lovers who were separated by fate and vowed to find each other in every lifetime. Most people avoided the place. You had never believed the stories. Until now. As the sun dipped below the horizon, you spotted a figure standing beneath the clock. They wore a dark coat, their face hidden beneath the shadow of a hood. You came, they said softly. Their voice was strangely familiar. Who are you? You asked. Instead of answering, they pointed toward the necklace around your neck. Your grandmother knew this day would come. Your heart skipped a beat. How do you know about her? The figure slowly removed the hood. The moment you saw their face, the world seemed to stop. It was someone you never expected. Someone from your past. Someone you had once cared for deeply. Impossible, you whispered. They smiled sadly. I know. But some connections don't end when people say goodbye. Memories flooded back. Shared laughter, late-night conversations, promises that neither of you had been able to keep. Years ago, circumstances had pulled you apart. And yet, here they were. I've spent years trying to find my way back to you, they said. And now that I have, someone else is trying to make sure we never happen. They reached into their pocket and revealed a small velvet box. Inside was a beautiful ring. The moonlight reflected off its surface, revealing an intricate design unlike anything you'd ever seen. "This ring has belonged to my family for generations," they explained. "It's only given to one's soulmate." Your mind struggled to process everything. This doesn't make sense. I know. Who wants to stop us? Their expression darkened. There are people who benefit from keeping us apart. Who? For a moment, they hesitated. Then they spoke a single name. The name hit you harder than you expected. "No," you said immediately. "That's impossible. I wish it were." It was someone you trusted completely. Someone who had always been there during your hardest moments. Someone who had repeatedly encouraged you to move on from the past. "They've known about us for years," your soulmate continued. "Every time we came close to reconnecting, they found a way to interfere." You remembered cancelled plans. Lost messages. Unexpected misunderstandings. Could it really be true? Before you could ask another question, footsteps echoed through the empty square. Your soulmate's expression changed instantly. "They found us." "What?" "You need to leave. Now." A figure emerged from the shadows. Then another. And another. At the center stood the person whose name had just been spoken. They looked at you with a mixture of sadness and determination. "I'm sorry," they said quietly. "But this wedding can never happen." Your soulmate stepped protectively in front of you. "You've already taken enough from us." The stranger shook their head. "You don't understand what's at stake." "Then explain it." Silence. Finally, they looked directly into your eyes. "If you marry them, everything changes." "What does that mean?" Their answer sent a shiver through your entire body. "It means the secret your family has hidden for generations will finally come to light." The wind suddenly picked up around the clock tower. The old clock, which hadn't worked in decades, began to move. Tick. 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 Midnight. And somewhere in the distance, church bells began to ring. Your soulmate tightened their grip on the ring box. "The choice is yours," they whispered. "But once you say yes, there is no turning back." You looked at the ring. Then at the people standing before you. Every instinct told you that your life was about to change forever. And deep down, you knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was only the beginning. The church bells continued to ring across the valley, each chime echoing through the darkness like a warning from another age. No one moved. Your eyes remained fixed on the ring in your soulmate's hand, while your mind struggled to make sense of everything that had happened in the last 24 hours. "If I marry them, what changes?" you finally asked, your voice barely above a whisper. The person standing opposite you, the one you had trusted for so many years, looked away. "More than you can imagine." That's not an answer. They took a deep breath before stepping closer. Have you ever wondered why your family moved so often when you were a child? Why your grandmother never allowed photographs to be taken on your birthday? Why every member of your family seemed afraid whenever the clock struck midnight on the 7th day of the 7th month. The question struck like lightning. You had wondered. There had always been strange rules in your family. Never whistle after sunset. Never remove the silver necklace. And above all, never return to the old clock tower. Your grandmother had repeated that warning countless times. If fate calls your name from the tower, she would say, make sure you're ready to hear the truth. You always assumed she was speaking in riddles. Now, standing beneath the ancient clock as its hands moved for the first time in 50 years, you weren't so sure. What does any of that have to do with this? You asked. Your soulmate opened the velvet box completely. Hidden beneath the ring was a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. It's time. With trembling fingers, you unfolded the note. The handwriting was unmistakable. It belonged to your grandmother. To my beloved grandchild. If you are reading this, then fate has finally reunited the two souls that have spent lifetimes searching for one another. Know this. Your story did not begin in this lifetime, nor will it end with it. There are those who fear what your union represents. They always have. Trust your heart, but remember, every choice demands a price. You felt your knees weaken. How is this possible? Because she gave it to me herself, your soulmate answered softly. That's impossible. She passed away 10 years ago. Not before she found me. The world suddenly felt smaller. She knew who you were. She knew long before either of us did. The person trying to stop the wedding clenched their fists. Don't tell them the rest. I don't think you get to decide that anymore, your soulmate replied. The wind intensified, sending fallen leaves swirling around the tower. For a brief moment, you thought you saw shapes moving within the storm, faces, perhaps, watching from another time. 20 years ago, your soulmate continued, your grandmother made a promise. To whom? To my grandfather. Silence fell over the square. Our families have been connected for over a century. You stared at them in disbelief. No. My family would have told me. They couldn't. Why not? Because every generation has failed. The words hung heavily in the air. What do you mean, every generation? Your soulmate's eyes filled with sadness. You and I have found each other before. A laugh escaped your lips, not because it was funny, but because it was impossible. You're talking about reincarnation? I'm talking about history. Before you could respond, they reached into their coat pocket and pulled out an old photograph. It showed a wedding party from the 1920s. At the center stood a bride and groom. Your breath caught in your throat. The bride looked exactly like you. And the groom? The groom was your soulmate. No. The wedding never happened, they said quietly. Another photograph appeared. This one from the 1960s. Again, the same faces. Again, another unfinished wedding. Then another. And another. Different clothes. Different eras. The same two people. The same ending. This isn't real. I wish it weren't. Your trusted friend suddenly stepped forward. Stop. Their voice cracked with emotion. You have no idea what you're doing. Then tell me, you shouted. Tell me why you're trying to stop this. For the first time that night, tears filled their eyes. Because I remember. Everything went silent. What? I remember all of it. The confession stunned everyone. I've remembered since I was 12 years old, they continued. Every lifetime. Every wedding. Every loss. Your soulmate's expression hardened. You should have told them. And say what? That I've spent centuries watching the person I love choose someone else. The word struck harder than anything else that had happened that night. Your heart stopped. You love me? They laughed bitterly. Of course I do. Memories suddenly resurfaced, every time they'd shown up when you needed them, every moment they had encouraged you to stay close, every strange sadness in their eyes whenever you spoke about love. I never tried to hurt you, they said. I was trying to save you. Save me from what? Their answer came immediately. The wedding curse. A distant rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. Every time you marry, they continued, something terrible happens. Your soulmate shook their head. That's not true. Isn't it? They snapped. Tell them about 1923. Or 1967. Or 1988. Your soulmate remained silent. Fear slowly began to creep into your heart. What happened? For several moments, no one spoke. Finally, your soulmate whispered. I die. The words seemed to drain the warmth from the night. What? In every lifetime, we find each other. We fall in love. We decide to marry. And then? And before our first anniversary. Their voice broke. I die. You couldn't breathe. No. It's true. Then why would you ask me to marry you? Because I would rather have 1 year with you than an eternity without you. Tears filled your eyes. Your friend stepped closer. Now do you understand? I'm not the villain here. No, your soulmate replied. You're just afraid. I'm tired, they shouted. I'm tired of watching history repeat itself. Lightning illuminated the clock tower. For a split second, you saw dozens of figures standing beside it. Ghostly silhouettes dressed in clothing from different centuries. Each pair looked painfully familiar. Each one was you. And each one was them. The clock struck once. Then twice. Then a voice, old and distant, whispered through the wind. The final choice has come. Everyone heard it. Even the bells had fallen silent. Your soulmate slowly knelt before you, holding out the ring once more. I won't lie to you, they said. I don't know if I survive this lifetime. I don't know if the curse is real. Their eyes met yours. But I know that in every life, I choose you. The ring seemed to glow beneath the moonlight. And if I say no, you asked. They smiled sadly. Then I'll spend the rest of my life grateful that I found you one last time. The air around the tower grew colder. Somewhere in the darkness, a clock began counting backward. 10. 9. 8. Your friends suddenly looked terrified. No, they whispered. It's happening already. 7. 6. What is? 5. The ground beneath your feet began to shake. 4. Your soulmate's face turned pale. 3. They've awakened. Who? 2. Every window in the abandoned town suddenly lit up at once. 1. And from the top of the clock tower came a voice that made your blood run cold. The wedding shall proceed, whether you choose it or not. The clock struck midnight for the second time. And the tower doors slowly opened. The ancient wooden doors of the clock tower groaned as they slowly swung open. No one touched them. No one needed to. A cold wind poured from the darkness inside, carrying with it the scent of rain, old paper, and something else, something that felt strangely familiar. The entire town had changed. Every house that had stood dark and empty moments ago now glowed with candlelight. Shadows moved behind windows that should have been vacant, and distant laughter echoed through streets that had been abandoned for decades. Your friend took a step backward. No, they whispered. It has never happened this early before. What hasn't happened, you demanded. The awakening. Your soulmate's expression turned grave. We need to leave. Now. Leave? You pointed toward the tower. After everything you've told me? After finding out my grandmother knew about all of this? I'm not going anywhere until someone explains what's happening. Thunder cracked overhead. At the top of the tower, a light flickered behind the enormous clock face. Then came the sound. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. Something, or someone, was descending the spiral staircase hidden within the tower walls. Your heart pounded. Every instinct told you to run, yet your feet refused to move. The silver necklace around your neck suddenly became warm. Looking down, you saw the pendant glowing with a faint blue light. Your soulmate stared at it in shock. It recognizes the keeper. The keeper, you repeated. Before they could answer, a figure emerged from the darkness. They appeared to be an elderly man dressed in an old-fashioned suit, the kind people wore over 100 years ago. His silver hair fell neatly across his forehead, and in his hand he carried an ornate pocket watch. But it was his eyes that made your blood run cold. They seemed to contain entire lifetimes. So, he said calmly, you've finally returned. He was looking directly at you. Who are you? The old man smiled. My name has changed many times over the centuries, but most people know me as the Keeper of Promises. Your friend immediately lowered their head. The Keeper is real. They murmured. The old man turned toward your soulmate. And you? You continue to defy fate, even after all these years. I made a promise. Yes, the keeper replied. You always do. He opened the pocket watch in his hand. Inside wasn't a clock. It was a photograph. A wedding photograph. You recognized yourself immediately. But this picture wasn't from the 1920s or the 1960s. The date written beneath it read, July 22, 2026. Tomorrow. Your breath caught in your throat. That's impossible. Is it? The keeper asked. This hasn't happened yet. Not for you. The meaning of those words settled over the square like fog. What do you mean? The keeper closed the watch. Time is not as simple as people believe. For some of us, the past, present, and future exist simultaneously. Your friend looked terrified. Please don't show them. They deserve the truth. The old man raised his hand. Suddenly, the world around you disappeared. The clock tower. The town. Even the night sky. Everything dissolved into light. When your vision returned, you found yourself standing inside a beautiful church decorated with white flowers. Music filled the air. People laughed. And standing at the altar was your soulmate, wearing the biggest smile you'd ever seen. You were dressed in wedding clothes. This is our wedding, you whispered. One version of it, the keeper answered. The vision continued. You watched yourself walk down the aisle. You watched your soulmate place the ring on your finger. You heard the words. I choose you in this lifetime and every lifetime to come. Tears filled your eyes. Then the vision changed. The flowers withered. The candles went out. And suddenly, the church was empty except for one person. You. Standing beside a grave. The headstone read, Beloved. Chosen in every lifetime. You fell to your knees. No. I'm sorry, the keeper said softly. But every promise has a cost. The vision shifted again. This time, you saw dozens of graves stretching endlessly across a field. Each grave bore a different year. And every single one carried your soulmate's name. Why does this keep happening? You cried. Because of a bargain made long ago. The world around you returned to the clock tower. What bargain? The keeper's expression grew solemn. 200 years ago, your ancestors made a deal with fate itself. Your soulmate closed their eyes. You don't have to tell them. Oh, but I do. The keeper looked directly at you. Your family was never supposed to exist. Silence. What? Your bloodline ended in 1826. You stared at him in disbelief. That's impossible. A child was dying, he continued. Their parents begged the universe for another chance. And the universe listened. The wind howled around the square. In exchange for saving that child's life, a condition was placed upon your family. Your hands trembled. What condition? The keeper pointed toward your soulmate. That every generation would be given a soulmate so extraordinary that they would willingly challenge destiny itself. And the price? The old man's eyes filled with sadness. The soulmate would never grow old beside them. The word struck like a physical blow. No. For 200 years, the agreement has remained unchanged. Your friend stepped forward. Now do you understand why I tried to stop this? Tears streamed down their face. I couldn't watch it happen again. Your soulmate remained silent. They had known all along. You knew, you whispered. They slowly nodded. Since the day your grandmother found me. Anger suddenly replaced your grief. You knew you were going to die and never told me? I was afraid. Afraid of what? That if you knew the truth, you would never let yourself love me. The answer hurt because it was true. The keeper glanced toward the tower clock. We're running out of time. For what? The decision. What decision? How is there even a decision after this? The old man smiled faintly. Because every curse has a loophole. Everyone froze. What? There's always been another way. Your soulmate's eyes widened.